And welcome back to the show, everybody. Our next guest I'm really excited about because I first met Joe Kennedy, I guess 3 years ago when we were on the same panel on a show on Newsmax. I was on with Patrick McEnroe and Joe Kennedy, and we were talking about the young man Damar Hamlin from the Buffalo Bills who'd been injured on a Monday night. And God bless him, he's back and playing football again. But that brings me to Joe, who is an amazing guy in his own right. Coach Joe. A movie is out now called Average Joe, but Joe Kennedy is anything but average. And first, I just wanted to welcome him in. Coach, great to see you again. Still smiling as always. How are you?
I'm doing great, brother. It is so good to see your smiling face again, too.
Yeah, man, I tell you, life is good. And what a whirlwind you've been on over the last, I don't know, Joe, maybe 20 years. And for those people watching and listening, and you may not be familiar with the story, but Joe, a longtime Marine who became a Christian, became a high school football coach unexpectedly, and then his life took this dramatic turn when in the state of Washington, he was coaching these kids, started praying at the 50-yard line. School board said you can't do that, and he goes all the way to the Supreme Court. And the rest is history, Joe, right? It's pretty crazy how life has unfolded for you and the family.
Yeah, that just shows, to me, really the sense of humor that God has, and that he can use even average, everyday people like me to get his message across.
Joe, take us back. Because, again, I watched the movie the other night with my wife, and it's on Pure Flix. That's Pureflix, Average Joe. Inspirational movies, Christian-based movies. I think we need more of that in society today. But, Joe, take us back. And the movie tells the story, but take us back when Christ jumped into your life and you became a Christian, because that was the pivotal moment in your life, and everything changed in a positive direction.
Yeah, it's amazing how those things turn out. I spent most of my life atheist or agnostic or some other form, and I really didn't believe in the Lord. It wasn't until I got out of the Marine Corps and I met up with my childhood sweetheart, and I was failing as a husband, and really that's the part that led me to the Lord. And she had some medical problems and we had our marital problems. And so I threw myself up onto the altar and I said, Lord, God, if you give me my wife, I will give you my life. And in return for that, little did I know, he was going to ask me to coach high school football. And from that moment on, when I saw the movie Facing the Giants, right after that, that was my calling card, and I did exactly what they did in the movie, and that was give glory to God after every game, win or lose. And God just took me on that journey right after that.
Joe, we know how Hollywood sometimes changes things in movies just to make it more interesting, more fascinating as they throw it out there to the public. I guess first off, were you pleased with the movie, and how accurate was it? As I watched last Friday, I thought it was terrific. Tell me about that. Were you happy with the movie, Joe?
Yeah, I really was. I was very concerned when they first approached me. We wrote the book Average Joe that you see, and books tell almost the whole story. And then when they did the movie, I wanted to make sure that they told the story right. I didn't want it to be some kind of cheesy religious movie that, we've seen, even though the messages are great. I wanted something to be really good, and I wanted it to be true. I didn't want it to be Hollywoodized. Harold Kronk, who was the director for the movie, that's the way we started. We got all the cast together, Eric Close and Austin Wood and Amy Acker. We all sat down on the very first day, and they said, we want to glorify God and glorify your story. And that's what they did. They did an absolutely perfect job. And I would say they're right about 90% on with everything in the movie.
Joe, you were a fighter, right? That's what they kept saying in the movie. You fought as a young kid. You fought in high school. You fought in the Marines. Joe, are you still fighting? You still have a temper?
Yes, I do. And that's the beauty of it. God is he's always put that fire in my heart. Now I can sit there and I can smile a whole lot more, and he's calmed my temper down. But that is one of the beauties that that God made when he made fighters. He needed to make men where they in a moment's notice can respond, can fight, can defend, and will stand up for what is right. And the rest of the time we can have a smile on our face. Don't let the smile fool you, because we have the power of God and 20 years of Marine Corps training behind us. And yeah, it could be a bad day if you want to cross that.
Joe, take us to the Supreme Court ruling, though. And listen, it's interesting because I'm a product of the South, and my three boys all played at a Christian school that had a reputation for being a great football program. But praying on the field before and after the game is not unusual. It happens all over the South. Up in the northwestern part of the United States, obviously, that was different. But the Supreme Court ruling kind of opened the door for everybody across this country to openly share their religious faith. But I don't know. As I watched the movie, I was amazed that you went through what you went through, but ultimately came out on top. I mean, the excitement level that Eric showed in the movie, and obviously what you felt with that Supreme Court ruling after many, many years. I mean, it was life altering for a lot of people. Obviously, you.
Yeah, and it was a long 8 years. My wife and I, we battled through hell, and we almost got divorced over all of this, as you saw in the movie. And it was by the grace of God that He always stands firm. I've always stood by the verse, which I always have ready on my arm, 2 Timothy 4:7, fight the good fight, finish the race, and remain faithful. And that's the only thing I needed to do was continue to fight and remain faithful, because God had the victory. And it took a lot of years and a lot of hard times for us to actually realize that God is always in control, and He does have the victory. So we just got to put our trust in Him.
Now, Joe, obviously you're traveling all over the country, right? I mean, this has opened up avenues for you to go and share your story, share your faith. But I think it's pretty amazing. Number one, what the Supreme Court ruled. And it's just, I mean, we live in a climate now, it's common sense, right? But it took you a long time to get that ruling. Have you found traveling across the country, have you faced any sort of backlash, or has it been mostly all positive as you go and speak to groups around the country?
Yeah, mostly I would say about 90% of it is all positive. Every once in a while you run into, especially by location. I was with Kirk Cameron, and we did he went across the country doing book readings, and in Seattle they had a big protest, and I walked right through the middle of the protest and was reading everybody's signs, and big smile on my face thinking, well, this is what the First Amendment is about, is people we can have the difference of opinion, but the beauty of it is that we all have the exact same rights. If they don't like it, too bad, because we have the right to do it as much as they have the right to protest it. So, yeah, no problems here. I unfortunately, sometimes I actually look for a fight and it never comes, and I think that might be a blessing from God.
Joe, the one scene in the movie where you were in the restaurant and the elderly gentleman came in, he obviously had a difference of opinion, wasn't happy with what you were doing, and really felt that you had influenced these young men who basically felt a calling of their own as they joined you at the 50-yard line. How accurate was that, Joe? Because that was a pretty poignant moment in the movie.
Right. And I was so glad. So out of the entire movie, I would say that one is almost 100% pure, accurate, true. It was such an amazing moment. For the rest of my life, that will be one of the defining moments where I had the atheist, not just the atheist, he started the atheist movement up in Kitsap County. He was the president and the leader of the group, and he ended up schooling me on the word. So we found mutual respect, we found mutual understanding, and when you find out that the Constitution of the United States, and we put our rights as Americans number one, everything else falls into place. And we were able to leave out of there as friends. And I hope this guy sees these interviews and sees the movie and contacts me again. I would love to follow up with him and see what his thoughts were.
Yeah, that was, again, I urge people to see the movie, PureFlix, PUREFLIX.com. I went on last Friday. My wife and I watched it. We had a great time. There's all these other great movies too. But that scene was certainly a key moment in the movie. And as I was watching, I said, I hope that was really true. And I'm glad you tell me it was true. Hey, Joe, are you still in touch with some of the guys, some of the young men on the team? Man, this was a long time ago. They have their own families now and all sorts of stuff. Are you still in contact?
Yeah. Yeah, you can imagine it has been quite a few years since then. I was just up a couple months ago, and you saw the young man who was the kicker in the movie. He's actually was our quarterback, and he just got married. So I was blessed enough to go see him getting his first marriage, and got to meet his first child. So I'm very much involved in their lives today. It's incredible to see what God's doing in their lives.
And I got to ask you this, Joe, too. Again, in the movie, there was the gentleman, a mentor of yours, who showed you that the tree that was still sprouting roots and had green leaves, even though it was amidst the rocks there. And again, that was an apropos moment in the movie. How accurate was that, Joe? And what is that gentleman doing now?
Yeah, well, we have to combine a couple different people. So the man who actually took me out there to see the tree, he has since passed. But the other counselor who was portrayed in the movie, who showed up at my football game, him and I stay in touch, and he called me the other day, it must have been 2 weeks ago. He was watching it on Amazon Prime. He was streaming the movie, and it was really weird because he couldn't really say anything. He was in tears, but it was just good to know that he saw it, and these people in my life that have talked a life into me when I was young are still around, and I could say thank you to them, and that they get to see the fruits of their labor.
It's great. It really is. And again, as you mentioned, Amazon Prime, there's a lot of ways to see this movie, Average Joe. And I urge all the people watching and listening to the show, please do it, because it's a true story. And here's the real life guy. Joe, what are you doing now? What are you and the wife doing now? I know you're down in Florida. Life has changed. How are you guys staying busy these days?
Yeah, we've been busy, especially with the new administrations coming in, not just on the federal level, but on state levels. A lot of people are moving. They're putting the Ten Commandments back up in schools and in the public square. And a lot of great things are really happening in the world. I know we get focused on all the bad things and people with the doomsday of who's in office, but I am really encouraged that I know I'm going around the country. I'll be at just about every major event this year, and I'll be spreading the word of the Lord and really just encouraging people that this is an incredible and fun time to be alive. As scary as it is, we get to be part of history right now, and that all of us are going to be turned back to the way America should be, and that's something awesome, and that we're going to be leaving our country better than we have in the past, leaving it to our kids.
And Joe, let me ask you this, because what we saw in the college football season, especially as this new playoff system unfolded over a period of about 4 weeks, almost every player they interviewed after the game who was the MVP or a star of the game, they opened every interview proclaiming their Christian faith and thanking their Lord and Savior. Joe, I mean, you got to feel like there's some sort of movement going on. Ohio State, the national champions, had this metamorphosis on campus. Like 60 kids on the team got baptized during the season. I mean, to me, it really is an amazing thing that's going on. Do you feel it, Joe? Is something different nowadays?
Oh yes, absolutely. Since we started fighting this fight and the ruling came out, I felt like we really blasted a hole into Hell's Gates, and that people are finally free to express their faith. And they were like, "Man, if this coach could go over there and proclaim his faith in front of God and everybody, why can't I?" So people are really stepping out boldly in their faith in sports, in Hollywood, in just about every medium. It's incredible to see it. God was not done with us, and I think we have our best years coming. And I am very encouraged, and I think this is an awesome time to be living, to see these young men and women that are standing up for their Lord. And so what? We love God. That's the way it's supposed to be, and it's something that's simple.
And Joe, I mean, in Mobile, Alabama last Saturday, pretty close to where you are down in Pensacola, that amazing ending to the Senior Bowl where the young man who'd lost his brother in the terrorist attack on January 1st, wearing his brother's number 7, with 7 seconds to go in the game, and his brother was known as Tiger, and the quarterback in the game played for the Memphis Tigers, and with 7 seconds to go through the winning touchdown pass to his brother. I mean, Joe, divine intervention, right? That's not just a coincidence.
Yeah, and I've always joked about, the coincidences. People of that don't have faith, and they see, oh, that's just coincidences. I want them to start doing the calculation on those coincidences and see the divine intervention in it. It is incredible. God is alive and well, and I hope people continue to challenge God, try to prove him wrong, take him on, and see what happens.
Amazing, Joe. I mean, you're an amazing guy. I'm glad I caught up with you today. It's been several years. Hey, before I let you go, I got to get a Super Bowl pick, Joe. Where are you going to be watching the Super Bowl on Sunday?
Well, I will be sitting here in Pensacola, as far as I know. Since you didn't invite me to go sit on the sidelines with anybody, neither did Mahomes or anybody. But I think we're going to have the best seats in the house because we can watch it from our living rooms. I'll be watching it with my father and my family, and we will be praying and rooting. And even though my team's not there, well, it's going to be one heck of a great game.
I mean, Seattle Seahawks, right, Joe?
I like Seattle. I like Denver Broncos, and I hate to say it, but I'm a fan of the Bills too. So and the Lions. So yeah, there was a lot of angst this year, but Kansas City, I love their program. I love their owners. I love their owners more than their team. So yeah, well, I like to see a three-peat. That'd be kind of cool.
Never happened before. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for the time today, my friend. God bless you and the family. And keep up the good work. Keep forging ahead. And that's kind of your mantra, I know.
Thank you, my friend. And I'm
keep
just down the road, so invite me up anytime.
It's great to have you on the show. Absolutely.
God bless you, brother.
All right, Joe, let me just end it here. Let's see. Hold on.